When is it time to quit your job? Because you have enough passive income or just because you're fed up? That's today's episode. Let's dive into this. Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris.
I'm Natalie Morris.
And this is the show where we help you build financial intelligence and financial freedom, where we want you to maybe quit your day job at some point if you're there and you hit that passive income number, you hit that financial freedom number. We've done it with buy and hold real estate. We buy single family homes, we renovate them, place tenants in them, and we cash flow. Now, you don't just sit back and, it's still a job, right?
Yes.
There's still work involved. We talk about it often here on the channel about nurturing your portfolio, but we don't work for somebody else. We don't sit in 2 hours of traffic every day, riding the subway to and from work, trading time for dollars. So we had this question a few weeks ago from a longtime viewer of the show, and much love to you for raising this question. I kind of privately had a discussion with this individual over Instagram about when is it time to quit my job. Now, this person has 4 rental properties. This person works as a police officer, so thank you for your service. But he's done. He's had it. But he still has about 7 years left until he gets his pension, so he raised this question. So as we unfold and kind of dissect this a little bit today, I want to first say this is a very personal decision for you. We are not financial advisors. This is something that you need to come to on your own, right?
Right, but the way we did that was reverse engineer it and come up with the freedom number, which we'll go over later. I also want to point out, you're not saying, when am I going to stop working or I don't work? When you own investments in anything, really there still is work for the owner of anything, right? That's why the term onerous comes about. It's like the burden of owning something, of ownership, right? So there's always work, even in a month when you're like, okay, my portfolio is going along pretty fine. I'm collecting rent. I feel like that sometimes, like, oh, okay, I'm pretty on top of things. And then boom, you get hit with a violation from the city, right? Or something like that happens. So I keep track of all of our rental properties in a spreadsheet. And I used to call the spreadsheet passive income. And after last year, when we had kind of so much shakeup in our lives, I went and changed the name of the spreadsheet to performing assets instead of passive income, because it's not passive, right? We're just talking about how you can then make that your full-time pursuit. Excuse me, I have to blow my nose. Keep going.
Okay, so we have talked about passive income here, and passive income is not passive, right? Passive income, yes, you're not going out and trading dollars or time for dollars. So the gentleman earlier who was talking about working at McDonald's, I used to work at McDonald's, you used to work at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. So you're waking up, you're getting there at 5 a.m, you're working at McDonald's till your shift is over, and you're trading that time, those 8 hours, for minimum wage. And then you come home at the end of the day. And what you have to show for it is that block of time, that 8 hours of your life is now gone because it's been devoted to this paycheck. Right. Well, what if you could switch that paradigm? That's really what we're talking about here, is trying to switch that around so that you're not trading those hours. You're trading your dollars for cash flow. You're taking your dollars, converting that to cash flow with performing assets. So
now the prevailing mind about quitting your day job, most people who say they want to go out on their own, they want to become a freelance writer or freelance graphic artist or whatever, right? The prevailing mind is that you have at least 6 months of expenses in some kind of short-term savings account. Meaning, let's say something happens, you don't get these jobs, you can live off of that at least for 6 months. So I think that's a good rule of thumb. We're not talking about saving your nest egg. We're talking about just something that's in a savings account you can get to. Not a CD, not a stock-based account you have to sell things out of. We use Marcus Savings by Goldman Sachs because they offer a really high interest rate, hovering around 2%. But I can get to it easily. I can transfer it back into my checking account and pay bills with it if I need to. So you should have something like that you can live on when you go right off into your sunset lifestyle.
So let's start by talking about where you want to start with this idea of quitting your job. There's not a one-size-fits-all approach to this, okay? But you want to start with understanding what your freedom number is. Now, this is very, very important. We're going to drop a link here in the chat for people to download the Freedom Number cheat sheet. It's the 3-page PDF that we put together a few years ago. It's become, I think, the most important thing in our lives and our business is this Freedom Number, and making sure that this is lived by, that you are working towards this goal on a regular basis. So what is the Freedom Number cheat sheet? As she drinks from her giant Thor Stein.
It's a stein of water.
All right. No more distractions.
It's
All
no
right.
distraction. You can't drink water during a broadcast.
Someone commented before that stein is bigger than your entire head. That's
Right.
like, for Oktoberfest. That's
They're
Oktoberfest
just jealous that they have to keep refilling their water when I do not during the course of a day.
For 4 weeks, that's all you need to do. All right, let's talk about the Freedom Number cheat sheet. Why is this so important? Why is this so important? First, you want to go to morrisinvest.com/freedom, download the cheat sheet. We'll have a link below that you can get it. You need to understand what your monthly expenses are. You need to understand where you're coming from, right? In order to figure out whether it's time to quit your job. You need to know that it costs you $5,000 a month to live your life, to pay your mortgage, to pay your rent, to buy your groceries, to buy your gas. What does that number look like? And then we can begin to reverse engineer that, right?
Right. So you start with your budget. Just what is it you need to live on? You most likely know that because you've designed your life around this salary. So you probably know, oh, I make $10,000 a month or what have you, right? And then you know that your expenses are somewhere inside of that number. Now, a lot of times your expenses, once you really start to drill down, you realize, oh, there's some fat in here that I don't need, but we want to use your current expense number because we don't want you to budget and shrink your life. We want you to live the life that you're living right now.
Perhaps. I agree with you, but I also want to think about how can we, if you really can't stand that working at this job anymore, and you want to make a big move in your life, think about what you really need in your life. What do you need? You need some clothes, you need roof over your head, and you need some food. Are you living so lavishly that you can't, that there are things you can absolutely cut out of your life that you're just wasting money on? Because that can accelerate your ability to leave this 9-to-5 job.
Right, absolutely.
And so I want you to think about maybe cutting out some of this fat. But the Freedom Number cheat sheet, to Natalie's point, really is a snapshot. It's a photograph of where you currently are in your life. So don't try to be aspirational with it. Really look at your current numbers and be real with it. Maybe you've got 2 kids at home, 3 kids at home. So you're going to have a little less leniency to be able to go and sleep on mom and dad's couch and say, I'm done renting for a while until I get my life in order.
Right. But we did design the Freedom Number around the life we were living at a certain cross-section of time.
Right.
Since then, we've realized this life is too big. We don't want all of these things. And we have shrunk the Freedom Number significantly with changes we've made in our lives. But that, I think, is part of the process. When you're getting started, it's a good thing to think about, how can I live right now? And then if you hit that Freedom Number and you shrink what you need, well, then now you've got more expendable cash to live your life differently. So let's just decide on a number instead of moralizing the number.
Okay, so for instance, we had our Freedom Number. We recently cut out a whole bunch of fat with software that we were using. We're like, why are we paying for this? This is ridiculous. And when we added it up, it ended up being like a couple $100 per month.
More than that, actually.
Which is like adding another rental property. Right? Which is like adding another rental property to your portfolio when you might not even need to. So just cutting out some of that additional fat. So let's talk about some specific numbers, right?
Okay. No more moralizing the number, okay?
I'm going to moralize. You can go back to drinking your giant beer stein water.
Okay. On the Freedom Number cheat sheet, if you have it, you can follow along. If you don't, then you're going to have to just listen with numbers.
Okay.
And I guess that's okay too. So we came up with this sample family budget of $5,000. That includes maybe a gym fee, maybe eating out with your kids, date nights, childcare, Netflix, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, now we also encourage you to pad it by 10% to either add to whatever you want to put in a savings account, or to add to what you're going to save up for another performing asset, or just to live your life, travel, do some more, give yourself room, because you don't want to be living by that Freedom Number, but you're on a tight budget. Nobody wants that, right? So then with our budget, we took 10% extra of $5,000. We decided the Freedom Number for this example would be $5,500. Great. Now, where do you get that? Where do you get that $5,500?
You mean in what? As far as the Freedom Number?
Like income. How does that happen? Well, right now that happens with a job. But you don't want that, right? We're trying to get away from that dependency on a W-2 job. So now you go and you look at your assets and you say, what do I have here that performs, that pays in to that $5,500?
Now, most of the problem that many of you watching right now, if you've Googled this video, when should I quit my job? Chances are you have a job and you want to quit your job. Mm-hmm. And so there are things probably in your life that are sitting there as liabilities right now that are taking money out of your pocket every month. What is a liability? It's something that's taking cash out of your pocket. The way that the middle class mostly live in this country is they get an expensive mortgage on a house they live in. They're paying a bank. It's not performing for them, putting any money in their pocket. They buy a car, which they're paying a bank.
Yes. Money
is going out, right? And you're paying taxes. When you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner and you're no longer working a 9-to-5 job, by the way, when you're working a 9-to-5 job, you're taxed in the highest tax bracket. Your money is also then going into some sort of a retirement account, a 401k plan, etc., that you don't have access to and aren't able to do anything with. And you're trading time for dollars. So how can we switch that so that $5,500 a month in passive income is coming from performing assets? It's coming from rental properties. It's coming from owning a business. It's coming from some other source.
Right. So this is where the mindset shift needs to happen, is you list out the things that you own with your balance sheet. You write down, what do I own? And then how much do these things actually put money in my pocket every month? Now, most people will say, well, I own a house and it appreciates. No, that doesn't count. You can't live on the appreciation unless you've taken money out of equity and you're spending it, which is not a long-term plan, right? What do you own that's paying you every month? Do you own a business and you get, say, dividend checks from the business, or some kind of salary you take from the business that you don't have to work in? Do you own real estate and you get a monthly rent check? Do you have a note to your friend at the bakery and they pay you back? What do you have that's paying you right now? Dividend stocks, whatever. Now you take an average of the kinds of things you have and you add it up. How close am I getting to $5,500? Most likely you may have one or two things. That's where we started. We had 2 rental properties that paid an average. Those actually were a little higher. They paid $800 a month. But we're being conservative and saying, on average, you have maybe 2 properties that perform at $700 a month. Okay, that's $1,400 going into that $5,500 need. But you don't get to keep the whole $700, right? You have to figure out what you get to keep out of that performing asset. So that's where we go and we find out what is sort of your cash flow. So we take that $700, we remove 40% for taxes and expenses. The remaining 60%, which is what I get to live off of now, right, is $420.
Right.
So I know that one of my performing assets is going to cash flow $420. How many then $420 assets do I need to get to $5,500? That's just a simple division. You take $5,500, divide it by 420. I need 13 assets. That's how you know. When I have 13 assets, I then am safe to hit that $5,500 a month goal, and then I'm closer to quitting my job, right? I mean, it's never that simple. This is an estimation of how your life should run.
Right.
But things are going to come up. You might blow a tire, right?
But I want to go back to something really important, which is that it is a mindset shift. I see people in the chat saying, wow, my mind is starting to shift right now. And that's exactly what I want, because we've been lied to for so long. People believe that a 9-to-5 job is sanctimonious, or not sanctimonious. It's what's the word I'm looking for?
It is the word you're looking for.
It's because I'm being sanctimonious.
No, you're getting ahead of yourself.
No. What I'm saying is,
your mind is.
Okay, what I'm saying is when you're working on when you have a 9-to-5 job, and we've been lied to for so long, our whole education system is built around telling you that you need to get a job. The professors in your college most likely have never even worked in the field they're teaching.
Right.
Right? And so they're telling you to go out and get a job. So then you go get a job, and now you are working for somebody else, okay? You're trading your time for dollars. You're making that other company wealthy. You're putting money into a 401k. You're being taxed in the highest tax bracket. Okay, you're being told that is the way to live. In fact, it's golden handcuffs. I believe it's golden handcuffs, because you're like, oh my God, I can't leave this job, because how am I going to ever pay the bills? I'm dependent on this check every week coming, and that's great. Oh my God, I can't leave. Well, guess what? What if they leave you? What is your plan?
happens.
What is your plan? It happened to me. It happened to my dad. I remember my dad pacing around the kitchen after he lost his job when I was 12 years old. He had no backup plan. He had no performing assets. Her grandparents got to play with her as a kid and hang out with her, and they lived off of the retirement or the rental income from the warehouses that they own, the commercial and rental properties that they own. They got to hang out with their granddaughter. My dad was terrified when he lost his job that day. He was pacing around the kitchen. They let him go on a Friday afternoon, and he had no performing assets. He had nothing that was being able to provide for his family. I carried a lot of that fear around money with me my entire life. So I got scared. Oh my God, we're going to have to move. We're going to lose our house. How are we going to pay our mortgage? So we've got to get out of that golden handcuffs mentality. Having a job and working for somebody else as your main driver and putting money in a retirement account is not the way to build wealth.
Right. And, sort of modern advertising would have you believe that you could save your way to wealth, so that if you just stay in the job long enough and tuck away enough in savings, that you'll have this pile of money that you can live off until the day you die. But I don't think most people then calculate when you have to die at the end of that money. It's like, okay, that probably will be enough. I should be fine. And then maybe I'll have some pension or something, right? Again, this is not a long-term plan. If you think of, again, my grandparents who bought these warehouses and, built, they actually, I think, bought the land and built the warehouses on them. They've been rented now for 60 years. And that's true generational wealth, because my grandmother would just live off of rental income. They'd pay her rent. She would go and cash it. She had plenty of money for the month. They're in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area. They were great investments. And now my father owns them, and my father collects rent.
And we're talking about building this generational wealth here, right? My dad didn't have that generational wealth. My dad was, managed to break a cycle of his family, but he still didn't go to college and then still didn't have these performing assets. My goal was to break that cycle of our family and build long-term legacy wealth and teach my children about the power of passive income and owning performing assets, right? So what I want to impart to you is that 9-to-5 job, while you're there, think about starting your own business, starting to buy performing assets. You don't have to drop the curtain today and leave. And someone said in the chat that the word I was thinking about was sacrosanct, right? Which is that this is some sort of...
Yes.
This is some sort of a sacred thing. I can't leave my job. Well, start to put some pieces in place now, especially if you're young and single. You don't have a family necessarily to worry about yet, and you can really trim down your expenses. So think about starting your LLC on the side. Start to actually build those performing asset plan. Get your freedom number in place. And if you are under 30, holy smokes, you are so far ahead of the game if you start this now.
Yeah. So some of the people in the chat are asking, well, what's your day like? What do you do then? Because you own, this,
right?
Because you hit your freedom number. And another question is, how do you pay your medical expenses? Well, to be honest, our medical expenses now that we pay them out of pocket are cheaper than they were when we were paying them out of Clayton's news salary.
And it's a business expense, folks. Again, when you are in business, okay, you're an entrepreneur.
Well, that's tricky.
It is tricky, but it's not.
You
but
pay your medical. Don't give advice on that. Because
I'm not going to give advice on that. But what I'm saying is, when it's coming out of your salary and you're working for somebody else, trading time. You're trading time for dollars. So you're still paying for it.
Yes.
You're still paying for it, remember. So now, yes, we have a medical plan that's cheaper and actually more accessible. We get to kind of pick what we want. I had a friend of mine who is an entrepreneur, runs his own company, and he said if he had the opportunity to go back and have somebody else picking his plan from a company, or he gets to pick the plan that he wants, absolutely 100% he would pick the plan that he wants that's catered to him and his family rather than what a company deems as appropriate.
Right. So we pay for that out of pocket. It's an expense in our freedom number. I think you probably, because so many people sign up for employee-sponsored health plans, they don't realize that those are pretty expensive too. And so we just had to, figure it into our freedom number. How much was that going to cost? And now there's 5 of us. So it's more expensive than it was when we started the freedom number calculations. We only had 2 kids. Now we have 3. But you pay for it. It's not that much.
So when should you quit your job? Is there a moment at which you realize, if you've gone through the freedom number calculations, you're sitting there saying, okay, I'm not quite there yet, but look, I can trim some fat in my life. And I can actually now, because I'm not working for this company, that 8 hours a day that I was working for somebody else sitting in an office in a cubicle, I can now devote to being a real estate professional, right? So now that I'm a real estate professional, I'm working 750 hours a year as a real estate.
Why'd you do this? You have to actually do it.
Well, you have to actually do 750 hours a year.
We're not fubbing the numbers.
No,
we are
okay.
doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually go out and do 750 hours a year.
Stop doing that.
With an LLC that you set up. Now you're in business, right? You're buying performing assets. You're able to trim some fat. You totally alter your tax bracket as a result, right? You're shifting and moving into an entirely different area once you become a business owner,
right,
which is a real estate professional, right?
Yes, absolutely right. So then the second part of that question is, what do we do all day, right? Not like work that Clayton has, like we actually work,
Right.
So again, the finances are a full-time job. That's sort of my whole shtick, right?
Right, we're dealing with taxes right now,
Oh my
right? So
gosh.
taxes are coming in. So just give an overview right now of taxes on rental properties, right? So in the different cities where we have our rental properties, tax bills come in, we have to deal with that, make sure that's being processed.
We have to keep track of, there's always something that one of your properties needs some kind of decision on. Just last week, I had to do some work on, one guy wanted to build a fence in his backyard, but he's technically in a duplex. I wanted to figure out how that we didn't have a survey. Did he want to pay for the survey? He had to get it permitted. It was like many phone calls, these things you have to decide, right? You have to think about. Now, Clayton and I, we don't only work on our own rental portfolio. We do research and planning to do shows like this for you that are real estate type shows.
Well, we also run Morris Invest.
Right, that's a big part of our
We've
lives.
got employees and a great team that make it, easy for people who book a call with us to, take that leap and actually acquire rental properties. We've got a great
But that is another part of what we decide to do, right? So
that's a great point. It's our decision.
Can you let me finish it then?
So it's our decision to do that. We don't necessarily
push you out of the chair.
We don't necessarily have to do that, right?
Are you done? If it's a great point, let me finish it then. Okay.
That's a great point.
Thank you so much. So, yes, the idea being that you may hit your freedom number and then you really want to become a Reiki practitioner or whatever,
Why do you
right?
pick something so obscure?
It's not so obscure.
What about
Reiki
a wood?
is becoming very mainstream.
Okay, what about a wood carver?
Okay.
You like making wood carvings with chainsaws.
Yeah.
You make bears and bald eagles, and you love that. You're
Right.
like, you know what? I'm working 9 to 5 every day. I'm tired when I get home. I don't have time to make my bear
I
carvings.
just really want to present this talent of mine to the world.
Right.
I want to be whatever. Like let's say it's something that you think is not lucrative enough for you to retire on. Like, I don't know. I think those wood carving people make a lot of, like, you want to be a slam poet. Okay, that's what you really want to present to the world instead of Reiki. I think both offer.
Can you tell
value.
she's from San Francisco? Reiki and slam poetry. How about like real world examples?
No, I think Reiki. Don't. Just,
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Why are we doing this show together today? You're on my last nerve, guy. Okay, so then you hit your freedom number. You're living on your investments, on your assets, and then you spend your time doing what you're really super passionate about, right? Okay, then you go off and be a slam poet. You spend your time working on that, or a Reiki artist, or you just spend more time with your kids, or you're now caring for your elderly parents, right? And so for us, a good portion of our lives is managing our rental portfolio, but the other portion, what we are passionate about, is inspiring other people to take control of their finances in some kind of way, either through performing assets in real estate or just, through the Financial Freedom Academy, whatever it is. We put our efforts there. That's our choice.
Right. Like yesterday, I was speaking to one of our close partners in our company and with our company, and we were just on the phone, just getting so excited about the education piece of helping people set up their self-directed IRAs and knowing that inside of their self-directed IRA, they can build wealth tax-free. Most people have no idea about this. Most people have no clue about this. And so we were on the phone. We were like, our voices were getting elevated because this is what we're excited about. This is why I left television, in order to help people build passive income. And so to be able to do these shows to help people, that's what we're passionate about, writing books and helping people get out of debt and build legacy wealth for their families. For you, it might be Reiki. or slam poetry or fixing cars. You might want to have that extra time in the afternoon when the sun is out and you have some music on in the garage and you like fixing up old cars. And that's what you're passionate about, knowing that you have rental properties that are performing for you and bringing in monthly cash flow, and you don't have to drive 2 hours to and from work every day.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. So there needs to be that shift. If you want it and you want it hard enough, you can get it. You can go after it. It just depends on how badly you want it.
Right. We've thought a lot lately about, okay, running our business, Morris Invest, has gotten hard. Do we still want to do it? Do we still want to broadcast? Should we just live off our freedom number? Just, ride off into the sunset, not broadcast anymore. And that was a hard decision for us to make. And we came up with the fact that, no, we were given a voice and we were given the talent to research and share, and we're going to stick with it. This is our passion, right? And so I don't think that there will be anybody who will just say, I hit the freedom number, I'm done. Now I play Xbox all day. But if there's somebody like that in the chat, I would love to hear what your life is like. Or maybe you go to CrossFit all day or whatever. I don't know.
Right,
I just do nothing. I don't think that's a thing. If you're motivated enough to hit the freedom number, you're motivated enough to do something more awesome with your talents. So I'm sure that you're sharing something with the world.
Right. So there you go. That's a look at when that decision should cross your mind to quit your job. Remember, it's golden handcuffs, okay? It's golden handcuffs if you're working for somebody else. Their health care that you're paying out of your pocket through your salary with your company, your 401k plan, and then what? What if they pull, they decide that you're just a number, they want to make you redundant one day, then you're out of a job. So build something for yourself. Start acquiring performing assets. Take those actions now and put these pieces in place. We've, I think, given you the tools. They're all here on the channel. Whether it's our private money video series, you need to go out and get private money. You want to work with Fund and Grow, you can go to morrisinvest.com/funding to figure that out. You have money in a self-directed account. You want to truly unlock that for self-direction. We have that video series here. It's all here.
It's all here.
It's all here. So stay positive, stay focused, and follow one course of action until success. So that's today's show, everyone. Now let's open it up for some Q&A here.
Okay.
Sarah says, I've struggled with what to say when people ask me what I'm going to do. I used to say, I'm not working, and didn't like how that felt, and that's not true. Sarah, I think you bring up a great point. In America, I think a lot of people tie their self-worth to their title, their job title. It's like, who are you? What do you do? What do I do? I'm me. I live. I enjoy life. No. What's your occupation? Because that's how I'm going to ascribe some value to you as a human being. It's like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. That's all you need to say. You own rental properties. You are a business owner.
But Sarah is out there looking for deals all the time. I've seen some of hers. She's working. So, a lot of times I think it's more common this day and age to not have a job like nurse or doctor or whatever. So many of us have side hustles or different sort of non-conventional job titles. So I feel like that is making it so that in our culture it's increasingly rude to ask people what you do. Like in certain cultures, in France, you would never ask somebody their profession when you're just sort of talking to someone in a restaurant. It's just not considered polite. And I think we may eventually get there in our culture, but right now you can just say, I'm a real estate investor. And if they want to know more, they ask.
Yeah.
If they don't, forget them.
Top comment writes, I have reached my freedom number. Actually, let me bring up the chat window here. Sorry, guys. I always do this. All right. Top comment says, I've reached my freedom number of $7,000 per month, 15 rental properties. Way to go. I can now safely quit at 32, but I don't want to be bored. Did you experience boredom when you stepped away, Clayton? No.
He had 3 kids when he stepped away. So.
But, like I'm able to do this show now. Okay, I used to do 4 hours of morning television and talk about what Trump tweeted one morning, and then what this senator said about the tweet, and then this monkey did this, and then it's National Bowling Awareness Day.
And we're going to interview this girl because she looks like Elsa.
Right, and so it was fine. Like, I had a lot of fun, and I love the moments of levity, and I loved being able to connect with an audience, but now I get to do my own show here for an hour and talk about building financial freedom. Like, no, absolutely not bored with that. But I think top comment, I think the answer is, what are you passionate about? So,
or are you bored?
Right, are you bored? So when you're working at this job, do you love it? Are you like...
No, he said he can quit.
No, I know he can. What I'm saying is, do you love it? So if you're going and you're a graphic designer and you love working for Apple and you're being able to design graphics and you work at Apple computers and you love it, or you work at Disney and you're an animator and you love it, then it's up to you, you know? But if you're like, I hate it, I dread going there every day, then you got to really sit back, I think, and get quiet and meditate on this for a few days and really think, like, what are you passionate about? Like, if you could just do what you want to do with your afternoons, what would that look like for you?
Yeah.
You know, do you love, I don't know, hiking? Are you love backpacking? You know, do you love mountain climbing? Maybe it's something opportunity where you could do that and also maybe open your own backpacking store, or, you know, guide service along a river because you love whitewater rafting. I mean, these are questions you just really need to get, now that you've achieved financial freedom, get quiet and kind of figure that out. But way to go, 32 years old. That's awesome, man.
Or how can you serve, you know, is also a good way to think about, like, what do you have to share with other people?
Right, like top comment, for instance, why don't you come and be a guest on my show? Come and, you know, reach
You
out
have
to me.
something to share, sure.
I'll have our team reach out to you and come be a guest on my podcast. And you have something to share. How did you do this at 32 years old? You have something that you can share with our audience, right? Did you borrow private money? Did you borrow from an uncle? Did you do it all yourself and, you know, scale it by buying single families and rolling it? I mean, this is what you can teach and give back to other people also. Let's see.
Okay. Let's see. The HELOC is an option. Make sure you have a solid. This was in response to someone's. I've been doing research on the HELOC. I'm going to start making some phone calls. A little nervous. Okay, Jacques. Good for you. That's an awesome tool. Make sure you get our lender comparison sheet so you can just keep track of who offers you what, because of course you need some kind of solid plan to pay it back. And Kelly, can you post that in the chat if you don't mind?
So Brendan says you keep trying to sign up for funding portion of our website. So if you go to morrisinvest.com/funding, you're having an issue signing up. Is that what you mean? We're going to check it because we have not had any problems with that. If you do, let me know, but it might be just clear your browser cache or something and try again, clear it out and clear your cookies out. Maybe it's got some weird error. Hopefully not, because we have a lot of people that sign up with Fund and Grow. You'll save $500 if you go through our website to do it. I hate to have you spend an additional $500 if you don't have to. So let me know, Brendan, if that's the case. Okay. Any other questions about kind of when? Thank you, Jacques. You read our book. Thank you so much. We have a book called How to Pay Off Your Mortgage in 5 Years. It's a short read. You probably read it in an evening or 2 days, but I think it'll really help you work to pay off your house in a short amount of time.
We had some other questions. Can you please scroll up? We had a few. I don't like not being able to have the chat to myself. Okay. How much cash ROI can you get on a property? So that was earlier in this chat. We talked about how to calculate your ROI on an investment. What we normally do is take 40% of the annual cash flow, and that's what we get to keep, right? So whatever you're getting $100 a month, 40% of that goes away for taxes and expenses and insurance. 60% is what you should be keeping, right? And then you divide that by your purchase price. That usually gets you your return on investment.
Right. We have whole videos on ROI, so please check those out here on the channel and understanding return on investment. Most of our properties that we do at Morris Invest, they range, anywhere from like 7 over 10 to 11, 12% return, net return on investment is the goal. So, commercial properties right now used to trade at about an 8% cap rate. I just did a whole interview with a large multifamily investor. He says, he sees right now the absolute values in single family affordable housing, that commercial properties used to sell at an 8% cap rate. People are now selling them at like a 3% cap rate. So it's rare. It's very difficult to find the value in commercial properties right now at a high level.
Unless you're buying it for yourself, for your own business, in which case you can get some great return on that. I believe, did we do a podcast on that? We have, on buying a commercial property with tax-free dollars.
Right, for your business.
For your own business. I
Yeah.
believe we have. If not, we'll do one coming up, because that's a great hack that I learned from one of Garrett Sutton's books. And you can get, I think it's a 501c loan,
Yeah.
and pay your rent with tax-free money. So that's one good way to think about it. If you're trying to run your slam poetry business out of an office, if you need an office for that. For clients.
Jared Kennedy says, the real question is single family or multifamily? We've hit financial freedom through single family properties. Even like people like Grant Cardone started with single families, and then they moved into doing syndication deals and funding and all that sort of stuff. So yes, bigger properties can yield those bigger results, but you also need bigger money. You also need to be able to find those deals. That's great. But single families, to me, it is scalable. How many properties do you need? At the end of the day, what does your freedom number look like? Do you need to hit it 13, 14 of them?
That's manageable, right? If one of you is doing the money, the other one's keeping an eye on the actual structures, like, it's totally manageable. It takes some getting used to when you have so many doors, and to me, some of them I've never seen them, so they just exist as numbers on a spreadsheet. But you can do it with some great organization. We had someone from the Financial Freedom Academy send me their spreadsheets on how they manage all of the information on theirs, and I was like, that's brilliant. I do it this way. It's just a personal challenge, but totally doable.
Right. Hey, Brendan, did you answer that question about the... Yes, I've tried to... I keep saying unknown error. Okay. Yeah, Brendan, just let us know, and we'll try to connect you some other way. But that's crazy. I hope it's not having some kind of problem. We'll find out. Unless you're overseas or something. Why is it skipping around like this? Do you guys have a way to determine if a piece of real estate is a good investment or not? Well, yeah, it comes down to the numbers, right? It comes down to, I just did an interview with Neil Bawa, we're going to release it soon. I wanted to look at different markets and what types of things you're looking at for market
performance.
Market performance, yes. So crime going down, job growth going up, income going up, property values also going up, jobs available, American-based jobs. So just at a high level, that's what we look at for market conditions. And then the ROI on the back end. So what is the return on investment on the property? So if you're buying it for $80,000, how much work does it need? How much renovation is it? What is the cash flow going to be from the tenant in the property? What are the taxes? And making sure, numbers don't lie. When you get down to the numbers and you know what a return on investment is, and what is the ROI and your net ROI, then you're golden. And then also figuring out how can I structure this inside of a self-directed IRA so that I'm also getting it tax-free, tax-free growth in this property. What is that all going to look like? So we have all those tools here on our channel to help you figure that out from an ROI perspective, market conditions. Is it landlord friendly? We're in areas where it's landlord friendly, in Texas and Michigan and Indiana and other places where if you have to get an eviction, God forbid, does it take 9 months like it does in California to get a tenant out of a property, or can it happen pretty quickly if someone's not paying? So again, landlord-friendly cities, landlord-friendly areas.
In New Jersey, we have to get a lawyer. You can't just evict. The property manager can't do it. So now we have to have a lawyer. That's an extra expense. So yeah, that's another thing to consider.
Yeah. People want to ask. Let's see. People want to ask what? Why is this scrolling all wacky today?
I don't know. Your mouse probably needs a battery.
That could be it. Like stuff's flying around like that. Okay, Macho Vasquez. Here's a good question for you. Can you answer Macho's question?
Okay, as you guys know, just closed on my first FHA home on Monday, trying to figure out how to get my expenses running through a business account. With an FHA loan, I have to wait a few weeks for an LLC. So, okay, do you have the LLC that you own and you have to wait to put it in the LLC until the mortgage is recorded, is what I'm assuming? And so you want to figure out how to get your expenses running through there. So set up the bank first the bank account, you take your LLC documentation. Usually you need the EIN number and the formation documents, and you send it to the bank, and the bank will give you a bank account. You can put some of your money in there just to get started. And then you're going to make sure that like the power is turned on, and you give that banking information to the power company. You're going to make sure that your property manager has the new bank account information. You just start to get your bank account set up before you can actually move the property in there. And then once you do that, then the rent can start to come into that bank account. Does that answer the question?
I think so.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
good job. Sarah Samuel says, can you talk about paying yourself for your company? Do you literally take 60% of all rents received every month?
No. Okay, that's a whole other ball of wax. But we've done shows about it, so let me see if I can sort of like graze over the answer so it makes sense. What we do is we try to make sure that as much of our legitimate living expenses that we need are actually paid for out of the business. So let's pretend we have the Morris Family Holding Company, right? And it gets 60% of that rent, then goes up into that bank account. Well, now Morris Family Holding Company actually pays for things that Clayton and Natalie Morris may otherwise want, like a cell phone or a cell phone bill or broadband, things like that. So we try to legitimately funnel as much as of our personal needs as business expense to lower our taxation. And then we take out a draw of what we think we need then, like to pay for our daughter's ballet lessons or grocery bills. Like there's no way you can't just take that, bank account money, that's 60%, and then go and pay your grocery bills with it. That's illegal commingling. You're now using business money for personal expenses. You cannot do that. You have to take a draw to then go pay your groceries. But a good portion of the things that we want anyway, some travel we do, not all, it can't be all, but some travel we do, business expense. We don't need to pay ourselves for that. We pay for it out of the business. Again, cell phone bill, broadband, home office expenses, things like that. But you can't pay your babysitter. You can't pay your groceries. You can't pay, for undergarments. I get, unless that's somehow your business expense. I don't know. So that's the answer. We try to take as little out of the company as we possibly can so that we lower our taxation on that money, and we don't have to pay taxes on the owner draw. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. We'll do two more quick questions here. ZBD Group says, how often do you take a draw?
I try and make monthly draws based on our budgets, what I think that we're going to need.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't do that as payroll. I just take a draw. You could set up payroll for yourself. Some people have asked about that. They want to do it through QuickBooks, and there's fees associated with it. You're going to have to sort of see if... Stop okaying me. I'm finishing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Charles Wynn says, can you guys talk about how to get on the same page with your spouse about real estate investing? We've done shows on that. I think you can check with, I don't know how many of you download our podcast on Apple Podcasts, or the Google Play Store. It's the Investing in Real Estate podcast. Go there and download it. We have episodes specifically on how to talk to your spouse about investing. Also,
the Financial Freedom Academy is not a real estate investment course, but I think it will help your spouse to see the value of owning performing assets instead of saving money in a nest egg. That's really the whole purpose, is how to plan to own performing assets so that you are in the driver's seat. And then you're going to have to come up with how are you going to hit that freedom number? How are you going to own performing assets? And for us, then it made sense to go towards real estate. And then once you and your spouse have gone through the Financial Freedom Academy, you're on the same page of the goals. Then you figure out the how, what you buy, what's the asset. I really think that is an invaluable. We wrote it for that reason. Please do consider jointly taking the Financial Freedom Academy. It's for families, for that very purpose.
Yeah, so you can sign up at financialfreedomacademy.com and join us, because someone asked, do we do mentoring? Well, kind of, because in the group, we're actually about to go live to that private Facebook group here in about 15 minutes. That's just for Academy members only. And everyone's at different stages of their investing. Some people have 10 properties, some people have none, some people are just getting started. So it's really good in that regard. there you go. I don't think we have any more questions. There was a lot of great questions today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We need to take a break before we do our Financial Freedom Academy live to our group. But thank you guys kindly. And like I said, top comment, reach out to us. I'd love to have you on the show. Brendan, I hope you get everything squared away with trying out the website. Just clear your cookies out of your website and go to morrisinvest.com/funding if you want to get 0% interest funding. And hopefully we'll get you set up there. If not, I'll make sure that we connect directly with you guys. Thank you guys, everyone. Much love to all of you. We're back here again next week. 11 a.m. Eastern time.
No, I won't be. You can. We're traveling.
11 a.m. Eastern time.
You'll be alone.
All right, I'll be here alone. See? That's what we do. All right, love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.